One of the best things about my job is getting to meet and to help people. But my job doesn't end when I help you sell your house, because you're probably moving somewhere else and plan to buy a house or are looking for a rental and need help there as well. So, because I've built a relationship with my clients, I want to make sure that wherever they go, they also are getting the same treatment that I provide for them. Because of that, I have gotten the opportunity to meet and create relationships with so many other agents all across the country, especially around points that Marines from Camp Lejeune Marine Corps Base tend to end up. So, over the last couple of years, I've created a relationship with Eric, who is located in California, specifically near Miramar. And we have been able to refer our clients to each other and have really just communicated and made sure that the way that we each treat our clients is consistent with how we would treat our clients. So last week, Eric sat down with me and did an interview so we could talk about some of those things that we have in common, some of the things that are different in California than North Carolina, the way that we work with our vendors, and I have that interview ready to go for you guys so you can see some of the referral partners that I partner with. Before we transition over to that, go ahead and like and subscribe to this video and leave some comments down in the comment box. Okay, Eric, so do you want to go ahead and tell me a little bit about yourself and what areas you work in typically?
Sure. So I'm an Air Force veteran. My business partner is a Navy veteran. We're both co-owners of the Top Flight Veterans Realty team out here in San Diego County. And we cover all of San Diego County, and then we also cover a little bit of Riverside County and Orange County as well.
Okay, so do you get a lot, so I'm around a Marine base. Do you get a lot of Marines as clients that are transferring out there?
We do actually. We have Miramar Air Base, which is a Marine base, and then we also have a couple of Navy bases, which obviously, Navy owns the Marines. So we got a bunch of Marines on the Navy bases as well.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about how you work with clients, how you establish a relationship with them, and what sets you apart as far as how you work with people.
So, I mean, a lot of our business is repeat and referral business, either referrals from our, referral partners across the country, like yourself.
Yeah.
Referrals from our past clients. We do get, a lot of traffic to our website as well because of the name. We are in a military town, and so our name is Top Flight Veterans Realty. So when they're searching for, the VA loan or veteran realtors or what have you, typically we're the first ones to pop up. So, over the last couple of years, we've definitely been popping up on a lot more searches.
Awesome. And then how do you refer people? What kind of relationships do you have with vendors out there? Like lenders, inspectors, things like that?
Yeah, so we have a couple of relationships with some inspectors, with some lenders. Typically, we make sure we vet those people as thoroughly as possible. So we want to make sure that first and foremost, like for a lender, let's say, that they are a VA specialist lender and that they're going to be able to do right by our clients, and they're not just, looking out for themselves and trying to get a quick commission. So we want to make sure that they're being competitive with their rates, and then they're also on top of their game in terms of answering their phone and communicating, when something goes wrong or when something's going right. And, we don't want anything hidden from anybody along the way. And that's really important to us. So inspectors, we obviously have gone through our fair share of inspectors and contractors over the years. And, there are some inspectors that will just run through a house in a couple of minutes. And as I'm sure you know, and you get a report back and it's maybe like 10 pages or something, whereas you may have another inspector run through and they know the whole code book by heart, and you got a 50 or 80 page report where it's telling you every little thing going on with the house, which can drastically change either your perspective on the house or help you determine if you're going to be able to negotiate some credit towards some repairs.
Absolutely. How long did you say you've been in business?
Going on 6 years now.
Okay, sounds good. I've been in 5, so we're right, just a year difference.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then what is one of the things that kind of surprises people when they move to California for the first time about
Uh,
buying a house in general?
probably the price.
Yeah.
I mean, most people know that it's expensive in California, but they don't realize how expensive until they get here. There are still some affordable areas in San Diego or the surrounding areas, uh,
Mhm.
but it's getting tougher and tougher for our clients to afford. But that's why we're here, and we're here to try to find them the best house possible for them, and one that's going to potentially appreciate over time in value, so that let's say they come in with zero money down, they could appreciate 5, 10, 15% year over year, and by the time they leave, they could have 100,000 or a couple $100,000 in equity built into the home. Whereas, some other areas, you buy a home and you may not have much appreciation over the, 2, 3 years that you're stationed here.
Absolutely. We kind of have the opposite issue as people are surprised that our houses are not that expensive. We have definitely seen a rise in like an increase in prices the past couple of years, which I think everybody has seen. But we tend to also, people are really surprised with the size difference in our yards when they come from California.
In terms of bigger or smaller?
Most of them are bigger. We have some subdivisions that are kind of piled on top of each other, but most of the time they're bigger. So
Understandable. Yeah, that's a problem too. I mean, a lot of times people want a yard because they have, 2 dogs and two
yeah,
kids, and it's tough. I mean, you do have some areas for sure that have, some bigger yards and some usability, I guess you would say. And
yeah,
then you have some townhouses that may have like a smaller yard or something. But if you want to be close to the city, like close to downtown, you're going to give up yard for being close to the amenities nearby or close to base.
yeah. I've heard that as well with the commute. People are often surprised that our commute is not as bad. Um,
There's probably not as much traffic either, so that probably helps with it.
yeah, absolutely. You can kind of live a little farther away from base and not have such a long commute.
Yeah, like out here, if you're 20 miles from base, and it's heavy traffic day, depending on which way you're going towards traffic, it could take you, 30 minutes, or it could take you an hour or an hour and a half if the traffic is bad.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it just really depends. I mean, you got to be smart about where you're deciding to live, I think, in any area as well. But ideally, you just want to pick somewhere that's going to be against the flow of traffic, I guess,
Yeah.
not with the flow of traffic. Because if you're going with the flow of traffic in the morning, it's going to take you an hour. If you're going against it, then that means that there's no traffic going the way that you're trying to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not organized enough in the morning to make sure I get out of the house in time, so that would be a that would be hard for me. What do you like about being in real estate? What's the best thing for you?
I feel like the people, the relationships, honestly, like it's the best part of our job is the part where we get to hand over the keys, or we get to, pull up the sold sign for our clients who just sold their house, and just like see the smile on their face, or the excitement in their eyes as to like when their offer gets accepted, or like, when we close on the property. And it's a great feeling to be able to help people like that.
Absolutely, I completely agree.
How about you? What's your favorite part?
I really like to help people. I'm education based, so I like to learn. I also co-own a real estate school, so I teach there, and I just like being able to make sure that the people that I'm meeting understand what's happening. I've sold a couple of houses. I've gotten a couple listings where they said I had no idea what was going on when we bought the house. Um, and I don't want that to happen. I also like meeting people and like getting to work with them and just making sure that they they completely understand their transaction and they're happy by the end of it. The end of it.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I'm very education based as well. And I mean, we teach VA classes, at some of the local bases as well. And then we teach them online on like Zoom calls. And, our biggest goal is to help educate, from the start all the way to the finish. Because
Absolutely.
as we don't get told anything while we're in the military about, buying a house. They
Yep.
basically just say, here's a VA loan, you get zero down. And then people are like, cool, I don't have to pay any money for this. This is awesome. But
Yeah.
they have no idea how to do anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, until I got my real estate license, my husband had no idea about the VA loan. He had no idea about just buying a house or anything. He's like, well, I don't, at the time, didn't want to live in our area forever. So he's like, I don't want to buy a house, we'll buy it later. But when I got my license, it's like, hey, this is a great benefit. If we decide to leave, we could sell the house. And he knew nothing, basically. They tell you nothing. So
That's pretty much everybody, unfortunately.
yeah.
And that's why it's such a big deal to be able to, educate everybody on the benefits of, the VA loan or FHA or conventional or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
even first time home buyers that are using a conventional loan, 9 times out of 10, they don't really know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But they're being told their whole life that you got to put 20% down to buy a house. And so they, save all this money and wait all this time to finally buy. And, they could have just bought a house with 3% or 5% down and had been living there for a couple of years and built some equity.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know about California, but North Carolina, we have a lot of like first time home buyer programs that help with some of that down payment or closing costs. There's always resources and things that we can implement and put into place that will help people get to that goal, even if they can't necessarily raise that 3%. But yeah, absolutely. That was what I was about to say, is a lot of people don't understand that you don't need that 20%.
Yeah, no, 100%. And there are a couple of down payment assistance programs out here. It's tough when we're in like a seller's market to be able to use those programs a lot of times.
Yeah.
Just, sometimes they require a 30 or 45-day escrow. But there are still some programs that are pretty quick. You can potentially close in 21 or 30 days. It just
Mhm.
really depends on the program that you're using and the lender that you use as well. And that's why
Yeah.
it's really important to pick somebody that's actually going to be doing a good job.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like that you said you work with a lot of local lenders, because I just closed one here recently. They were using a lender that was in Phoenix, and their underwriters were in California. Of course, we have a 3-hour time difference, and they were done. I mean, they didn't open until it was almost 12 o'clock here, and they didn't even start doing anything until 1 or 2 our time. So we were trying to close, and they hadn't approved everything, and they didn't know that we require wind and hail insurance here. So they, even though I had told my buyer not to do that and make sure they had wind and hail, they were told them, we found you a cheaper quote, so do this. And we found the day before closing that he had to get a whole new insurance policy and all this stuff attached. So it was just interesting. I work with a lot of lenders that they don't work 9 to 5. They work when we work. So that's great.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I have some lenders that will literally answer a phone call at 8 or 9 o'clock at night and
Mhm.
like, or shoot me a text and be like, hey, I'm going to be working till 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock tonight. Like, feel free to call me. Whereas some other lenders or brokers or whatever, if you call them at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, they may blow up on you and or
Mhm.
not even answer your call until tomorrow at like 10 a.m. Whereas you may need that information that night when you're submitting an offer.
Yeah.
There's deadlines sometimes of you know a certain day or time or what have you, and you need them to step up and be able to help when nobody else is willing to.
Yeah, absolutely. I helped a family that was moving from California, and the husband was deployed in Japan. So we had all kinds of time zones going on. And the lender we used was on top of it and was ready to go right away, and could help. So with our, the people that we work with most, veterans or active duty, when they're moving, they're generally not moving to the same time zone. They're going across the country. Um, so that's always my favorite when I am able to work with my local lenders.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Yeah, fortunately, I do work with a couple of lenders and mortgage brokers that are licensed in a few states as well. So that's pretty beneficial. So if we do have somebody that's coming in from another state and they have a loan on their house or something and they're trying to figure out what they should do with it, then they can offer advice as to, what they could potentially do with that property. And, if they need to refinance it or something, they can do that while they're in the process of buying the next house.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some of the things that you feel like you do differently than just agents in general?
So like I mentioned, we do a lot of education, like on the VA loan specifically. There are a lot of agents out there that say that they work with veterans or that they have worked with veterans in the past, but 9 times out of 10, they don't know, the ins and outs of the VA loan at all. Like for instance, a realtor cannot charge a VA buyer a commission.
Hmm.
Most realtors don't know that. They still
Yeah.
try to get with like the buyer broker agreement, and it says like, you have to pay me this certain percentage if I don't get it from the
Mhm.
other side. And it's like, no, you can't do that. It's illegal. Like the VA doesn't allow
Yeah.
you to do that with a loan. And then all these buyers out there have no idea because they don't study the VA handbook. So, I mean, I make it a point to read the VA handbook on a regular basis and stay current on all of the new circulars that come out. And I'm in a couple of communities that um, also help educate on the new circulars and the VA handbook and stuff. And so I think that kind of sets us apart.
I like that. I knew that, and I'm one of the people that tends to make sure everybody in my office knows that, especially because the VA guidebook, I think the verbiage is that with all of the information available online, the VA doesn't think that people need buyer's agents and buyer's representatives because they can just do it on their own, which is why they don't allow buyers to pay their agents, which I don't like that, because in North Carolina, we're a caveat emptor state, buyer beware. And sellers, although they can't do anything to hide material facts, they don't have to disclose anything. So
Wow.
buyers are kind of in the wild, wild west if they don't have representation, because the sellers can't lie to them, they can't hide stuff, but they don't have to tell them if there's a leak in the roof. They just go about their business.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I have our buyer's agency agreement, but we are right at base, like Camp Lejeune is in Jacksonville. So most of the time, most agents will tell their buyers, hey, we're going to put this percentage in the buyer's agency agreement. But once we find a house and we know how much the seller is offering, we're gonna change that to match, because most of our buyers are VA and they're not going to pay. So I'm gonna have to go in just a couple minutes to go pick up my daughter. What are some of the last things you want to make sure that people that I'm referring to know?
We're open communication, on a regular basis. So, all of my clients are always able to call, text, or email me, whenever they want. I mean, obviously, probably not best to be calling me at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. But if they shoot me a text or they shoot me an email or something and I'm still awake, I'm typically going to respond to it. And worst case scenario, I'll respond to it first thing in the morning. It's always easy for them to get a hold of me as well. And then, we're always trying to do better than the next time as well, or the last time as well. So, if there's something that, we are not doing properly or something and they let us know, we change it automatically, and we just make sure that we do the best by them as possible.
I like that. I think that's kind of why we ended up, I think I had interviewed you for a referral, but we kind of partnered up because we seem to like do business the same way. So I think that's originally what kind of said I like this person. I want to be a referral partner. I mean, I had tons of people calling when I requested a referral. So I think that's what originally prompted that, was that we seem to treat people the same. And I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it like the old adage says, I mean, you treat people how you want to be treated, and it'll come back around to you. And so I'm a big proponent of trying to go above and beyond for everybody I work with, because I'd want to be treated the same way. I mean, if I have an issue going on, I don't want to, wait until Tuesday and it's Friday to get an answer out of you. I want to figure it out today, or worst case scenario tomorrow. And if I don't have an answer, I'm going to find the answer for them, and I'm going to tell them that I'll find the answer for them. I'm not just going to leave them in, high and dry.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, Eric, it was wonderful talking to you today. Thank you so much for coming on and let me do this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. It was great chatting with you as well. And I hope you're able to pick up your daughter in time. And
Yeah.
Good rest of your day.
Thanks, you too.
All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.